ridge. It is continuous below with to the adductor tubercle. The lateral margin, as I told you, it continues as the lateral supracondylar ridge. So, and one more thing, below the greater trochanter, this is the greater trochanter. So below in the greater trochanter, this area there is a tuberosity which is known as gluteal tuberosity, and the gluteal tuberosity gives attachment to the gives insertion to the gluteus maximus muscles. This is the gluteal tuberosity. So on the posterior aspect of the shaft, we have superiorly the gluteal tuberosity, then comes the linea aspera, which continues as the supracondylar ridges on the medial and the lateral side. The medial supracondylar ridge continues below with the adductor tubercle. I'll further tell you in the coming portion. This is the adductor tubercle somewhere here, and this medial supracondylar ridge continues below as the adductor tubercle. And this was the shaft. Somebody asked about the function of the linea aspera. So the function of the linea aspera is that it gives attachment to the muscles at the intermuscular septum. Intermuscular septum, if you have studied till now, it's a septum in the thigh made by muscles for the passage of structures and vessels. So linea aspera, it gives attachment to the intermuscular septum and the muscles, and it continues down as the medial and the lateral supracondylar ridges. The medial supracondylar ridge further continues to the adductor tubercle. That's it. This is shaft. And one thing more, if you can see, this is a triangular area. This is a triangular area, if you can see. And sorry, this triangular area is situated on the lower aspect of the shaft. As you can see, this is the triangular area which is situated on lower aspect of the shaft, and this triangular area is known as the popliteal surface. It's an anatomical landmark and it is known as the popliteal surface. Clear till now? Or I repeat? Clear? Should I proceed? Okay. Okay. Up till now, we have discussed the proximal third, the middle, that is the shaft. Now we will discuss the distal femur or the distal third of the femur. So distal femur, as of the proximal femur, you have some bony landmarks over the distal femur. And first of all, it comes as you can see, the pinkish colored area is the medial condyle. The medial condyle is the lower end of the femur. This is, as you can see, this medial condyle is situated on the medial aspect of the lower end of the femur. This is the medial condyle. And this is the lateral condyle. These condyles, these are condyles for the articulation making the knee joint. This is the medial condyle, this is the lateral condyle. You can see both now. Above is the medial condyle and below slide is of the lateral condyle. This is another picture showing you. This is the, 1 second. This is the lateral condyle. This is the medial condyle. And this is the lateral condyle. Here, over the lateral aspects and the medial aspects of the lateral and the medial condyles, here are two prominences which are known as the lateral and the medial epicondyles. As the name indicates, above the condyles, so epicondyles. The lateral and the medial epicondyles, these are located on the sides of the medial and lateral condyles. Got it? Now in this picture, you can see the lateral and the medial condyles, the lateral and the medial epicondyles, and then the adductor tubercle along with the intercondylar fossa. If you can see, here is a depression on the posterior aspect. It is the anterior aspect, this is the posterior aspect. This posterior aspect has got the depression and it is known as the intercondylar fossa. On the anterior aspect of this area is the patellar surface. The surface of the distal third of the femur articulating with the patella. This is the patellar surface. And on this, the posterior aspect, you got the intercondylar fossa between the lateral and the medial condyles. And you can also say that the intercondylar fossa separates the lateral and the medial condyles. Remember this, the lateral and the medial condyles, not the epicondyles. Got it? So these two condyles along with the patella forms the knee joint. And as I told you above, both condyles, that the medial and lateral condyles, they are situated lateral and medial epicondyles. And as you can see in this picture, the medial epicondyle, here is the adductor tubercle attached with the medial epicondyle. This is the lateral epicondyle situated over the lateral condyle. This is the lateral condyle and this is the lateral epicondyle. This is the medial epicondyle situated above and medial over the medial aspect of the medial condyle. This is the medial condyle and this is the medial epicondyle. This is the lateral condyle and this is the lateral epicondyle. So now this comes the adductor tubercle. Adductor tubercle, as I told you, that the medial supracondylar ridge on the posterior aspect of the shaft continues down to the adductor tubercle. This is the adductor tubercle area. This is the intercondylar fossa or notch. As I told you, these two condyles are separated by the intercondylar fossa. This is the cavity or fossa in between the condyles. Now you can see from anterior view, this is the lower third, and you can see the medial and the lateral condyles on the sides. So this is distal femur. The distal femur, once again I repeat it, these distal femur having two prominences on the medial and the lateral sides, and the prominences are called as the medial condyle and the lateral condyle. This is the medial and the lateral condyles. Over the lateral and the medial borders, superior borders of the lateral and the medial condyles situated lateral and medial epicondyles. As I showed you, this is the lateral epicondyle and this is the medial epicondyle. After the lateral and the medial epicondyles, the structure two encounters the adductor tubercle. Adductor tubercle is another bony structure situated above the medial epicondyle, and it is continuation of the medial supracondylar ridge down to the adductor tubercle. Then comes the intercondylar fossa. The intercondylar fossa is separating the lateral and the medial condyles. And this was all about the lower or the distal third. If you have any question in the lower third or the whole topic, please ask me now. This was the osteology of the femur. Up till now, any queries? Okay. Somebody has asked about the blood supply. This is the slide for the blood supply of the head of the femur. This is clinically very important as it is supplied by the obturator artery, which is the only artery nutrient supply of this head of the femur. So I told you that this fovea capitis structure here, a depression over the center of the head of the femur, fovea capitis, it gives attachment to the ligamentum teres. And with this ligamentum teres, obturator artery courses inside this head of the femur. And these artery anastomose branches with the branches from the femoral artery, that is the medial circumflex and the lateral and ascending branches. So this obturator artery anastomose with the branches from the femoral artery and supply the head of the femur. If you get this fracture, this neck of the femur, if you get this side fracture of the neck of the femur, the blood supply to the head of the femur will be interrupted. And this interruption will result in the avascular necrosis of the head of the femur, just because there is no other blood supply of the femur, of the femoral head. So a patient with fracture of the neck of the femur get avascular necrosis of the head of the femur. If you go and pick your Snell book, Snell textbook, and just give a read to it, you will get to understand it. Clear? Blood supply clear हो गया? और कुछ पूछना है तो उसमें पूछ ले. अभी टाइम भी है और कोई प्रॉब्लम भी नहीं है, पूछने तो पूछ ले. Somebody has asked about the difference between the trochanters and the condyles. So the difference is the anatomical locations. The trochanters are ridges on the proximal third or the upper third of the femur, or the head of the, along with the head of the femur, below the neck. The greater and the lesser trochanters. As is seen in this picture, this is the greater trochanter and this is the lesser trochanter. I'll show you some other slide. As you can see in this, greater and the lesser trochanters, these are located on the proximal third below the neck, joined anteriorly by the intertrochanteric line and posteriorly by the intertrochanteric crest. Below the greater trochanter is the gluteal tuberosity. These are all bony landmarks, prominences, ridges, and these are made for certain function, for the attachments and insertion of muscles and ligaments and all that, and to give the stability to the joint and structures. Then comes the condyles. As you can see, condyles are located at the bony prominences located on the lateral and the medial aspect of the lower end of the femur. These are the condyles, and these are called condyles. Lateral and the medial condyles located on the upper third or the proximal third, and the condyles are located on the distal third. Got this point? Somebody asked about the trochanteric groove. It is situated in some on the medial aspect of the greater trochanter. It is a groove. It is an area space. Function not clear, like it is situated on the medial aspect of the greater trochanter, and it is called as a trochanteric Guru. G. Anybody? Somebody asked about the valgus and the varus. These are the foot anomalies, having distorted foot or D-shaped foot, the valgus and the varus. It is not in this femur, but I'll let you know some. These varus and valgus, are the bending of the body structures laterally and medially. So no need at this time to go into detail of these clinical scenarios. You just concentrate on the osteology, that is the Moni landmarks of the femur, and it was very simple, as I told you, divided into upper, lower thirds and the shaft. Then you open the atlas, you hold the femur bone in your hand, and you will easily get to know about the bony landmarks within half an hour or 45 minutes if you discuss it with someone. Anything else? Anything left? Anything? Any query? Clinical importance of what? The clinical importance of femur bone. The clinical important area was the neck of the femur. As I told you, it get injured, dislocated, so you will got the interruption of blood supply. So clinically important was that a neck of the femur, and to the neck there is a capsule attached, and a fracture in that area is called as the subcapital fracture. It occurs in the inside the capsule of the femoral neck. The fractures occur in the capsule of the femoral neck, and the fracture line, the flexion line, you can appreciate between the head and the neck of the femur. That is, if you can see, this is the head and this is the neck. So this area somewhere here to the neck attaches the capsule of the joint. So the intercapsular, it is the subcapital fracture is the intercapsular fracture, and the line of the junction of the head, from the line of the junction of the fracture is the line of the fracture comes between this head and the neck. So it is the subcapital fracture. It is of some clinical importance, but you should remember that the neck is important. If you remember that the neck is important, the surgical neck is important, you will easily come to know about the blood supply and all that, and anybody will ask you about the femoral neck fractures, not the subcapital and all that. Okay, somebody has asked about the femoral torsion angle. This femoral torsion angle, this is found by the, and this is the angle found by the condyles. That is the lower end condyles of the femur. These are the clinical scenarios. You should first concentrate on the osteology of the femur, the anatomy of the femur, the normal anatomy of the femur. अच्छा mic खोला there. This is all about the femur. Please don't make. It is very easy and it is very simple. You just go and get a femur bone, sit with your friend and discuss it with him or her. And it will be very easy for you. You will get to know the main features and the prominences. Okay, so this was all about the femur. Inshallah, we'll see you next time. Take good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.
Good day.